Good morning and welcome to Saturday special of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. Friday one, and the segment is Better Thyself. We human beings are strange creatures. Anything happens, any setback, and our immediate reaction is to criticize ourselves. At times, this self criticism borders on self-flagellation, like in the Muharram, the Muslims beat themselves. That's exactly what happens. We do it, if not physically, at least mentally. We forget that we are human beings, and as human beings, there can be setbacks, and we refuse to be kind to ourselves. Imagine you are planning for a high-stakes situation, such as having a difficult conversation with a friend, an important sports game, or a presentation of your company's leadership team. You have spent months rehearsing what you will say or do, and then once you are in front of your friend, the game starts, and you face your colleagues and superiors, and you choke, no words come out, you stiffen, you miss your shots. And the result, you are anxious, you are embarrassed, you are terrified, you have missed your chance, and afterwards you run somewhere private to cry and curse yourself. And you stand there, your stomach is churning, you are hit with flurry of thoughts. Oh, I've missed, I'll not get promoted, I'll lose a friend, what did I do, why did I mess it up? And I had practiced so much. So, you are putting an unfair pressure and expectation on yourself. You may know these kinds of self-criticism thoughts as well. It happens to you. But remember, self-criticism never works. When we respond with self-criticism in moments of emotional pain, we are making a deliberate effort to reduce our suffering. In terms of evolution, self-criticism developed as a response to emotional outbursts, especially negative emotions, shame, humiliation, guilt. And they increase your sense of self-protection, to protect yourself from others' judgment. When you're criticizing yourself, you think, why should others criticize? But then what happens? If you just push yourself harder in the face of painful emotions, then you're not coming out stronger. As a matter of fact, you are becoming weaker. Self-criticism never increases your sense of control. What it does? It tricks your brain into a feeling of control. Instead of protecting you from others' judgment, self-criticism is subjecting to your own criticism. It may be able to redirect anger, but your emotions are suppressed rather than expressed. And this is sometimes necessary to motivate yourself to change. But this goes against the basic concept of behaviorism, that punishment is never as powerful as reinforcement. So you have got to reinforce. And what's the alternative? How to do it? That's self-compassion. Self-compassion is being open to and moved by your own suffering, experience, feelings of caring and kindness towards yourself. Understand yourself. Be non-judgmental for yourself, because inadequacies and failures are human, and you have to recognize that you are part of a human being. Self-compassion and being kind to yourself is being a friend of yourself. It doesn't mean that you've got to overindulge yourself. No way. Now, self-compassion comprises three connective components. First is self-kindness. Second is common humanity. And the third is mindfulness. Self-kindness is, as it sounds, it's an act of treating yourself very kindly rather than with a harsh criticism. Common humanity involves acknowledging that humans are flawed work in progress who are all connected with each other. And they might be connected through the struggle. And mindfulness is a process of neither pushing away nor clinging to any thought. Just observe everything as it is and accept everything as it is. Self-compassion is now to be differentiated from self-esteem. While self-esteem involves comparing your abilities with others or against a gold standard in order to feel superior or valued, self-compassion orients yourself to act of caring for yourself regardless of your abilities. Now imagine, I'm giving you an example. What is high self-esteem? Yes, I got an A on that test. That shows I'm smarter than most. And self-compassion, yes, I got an A on that test, is a reward for all the effort I put in. Self-esteem is outcome-oriented. Self-compassion is process-oriented. Research shows that self-compassion provides greater emotional resilience and stability than self-esteem. And that's not all. The effect of self-criticism, self-scrutiny, isolation has the potential to develop into a mental health disorder like depression and anxiety. Self-compassion offers a wealth of benefits of the mental and the physical well-being. Those higher in self-compassion judge themselves less, experience less depression, less anxiety, and are able to adopt strategies that make them grow. They don't need a social approval, no. Intrinsically, they are better. They are self-accepting. Why do you need approval from XYZ? The people who don't matter. You matter. So if you want to be self-accepting, then you will be socially connected. And once you have a self-esteem, others will automatically come to you. Compared with those in self-compassion, people in high self-compassion fare much better mentally and many times physically. And these attributes are clear, at least to the self-compassion's ability to deactivate body's threat system. Now, what's body's threat system? This is associated with insecurity and defensiveness. Self-criticism signals to brain structure called amygdala that a threat is present, and the blood pressure goes up, cortisol goes up, but self-compassion triggers the release of oxytocin, the hormone which is involved in regulating stress, and calms you. I agree, self-compassion doesn't come easy. The physical benefits are not known exactly, but the mental benefits are very well known. Some people who are not familiar with self-compassion, because they never learned it from the parents. When children see compassion, comfort and support and are responded to accordingly, then they develop these skills automatically. But if they criticize all the time, then they won't. The children who are more secure in their relationship have more self-compassion in later life. In contrast, when the children are rejected, criticized, or even overprotected, it invalidates their need for compassion. It lowers their ability to provide it to themselves. And that's a tragedy. Even for those people who are familiar with self-compassion, misunderstanding of what it truly involves can be a barrier. I've seen many people push against self-compassion, and they argue that self-compassion is resulting in narcissism, overindulgence, makes them lazy. That's nonsense. It is in fact a fear of stagnancy and a risk of further self-judgment. And that's understandable, I agree. So I ask my people who have this to try something new. Consider that what you have been doing, criticizing, judging, punishing yourself. And that's sending you away from your goals. That is sending you in an abyss of avoidance, self-hatred, and self-centeredness. When you take a compassionate approach to others, why not take it for yourself? Change your behavior, because the prospect of your future will become less threatening. And this is often forgotten. And how to be self-compassionate? Simple. Understand the fact that human beings would make an error. That to err is human. And accept it. As I said, mindfulness. Live in the present. It has happened. Now thinking over it, ruminating over it, weeping over it is not going to change the things. So why do that? That is the most essential quality. Then, if you say that you can forgive others, then why not forgive yourself? What is sauce for the goose is sauce for the gander. And self-compassion will make you generous and large-hearted. As a matter of fact, it will bring your old achievements into relief, and when you see the present failure, it will appear to be minor, negligible, and that's what is needed. You would become much more capable, much more human, and much more successful. And then self-compassion strengthens your moral fiber. Once you are compassionate to yourself, when somebody else commits an error, you will learn how to ignore it. You will say, well, I did the same thing. It's human, so it's human for him as well, her as well. So you become more acceptable socially. When you forgive people, people accept you. Because you are a shoulder on which the people can lean. And they are confident that you are not going to betray their secrets. So this is basically a win-win situation. What primarily depends is your capability to comprehend that making mistakes, even grave error, is never fatal. Everything will pass away. But if you indulge in self-criticism, it may not pass away that easily. It will leave a permanent mark on you. And as a parent, remember, stop criticizing your children unnecessarily. Guide them rather than tell them don't do it. Tell them what to do. Adopt a positive approach so that when they grow up, they do not suffer from either narcissism or self-pity. Both are equally bad. Let them be humans. But they'll be humans if you are human. So this is a continuous process. And once this process starts, there is no end to it. So start the process of self-compassion rather than this art of self-criticism. Self-criticism is damning not only to yourself, but your future generations also. Self-compassion elevates you and your coming generations to a much higher level. And not only you, but your progeny, your coming generations, your whole social structure becomes better. And isn't that something which we all want to be better? Better human beings, Homo sapiens, living in a better society, in a better social structure. And that is possible by self compassion, extending to compassion all over. Thank you.